The Saints continue their work in mandatory minicamp. The best news, really, from yesterday was not anything that happened on the field. We love to overreact to the first practice and that type of thing. But the best thing is that the Saints had perfect attendance, and that's awesome. The Tyrann Mathieu was out there. Chris Olave was working out. Taysom Hill made an appearance, although he's not anywhere close to being able to participate. The attendance was perfect, and that's the most important thing. But as I start to go through the roster, look at where there may be some question marks, where some guys are going to have to step up, I think one of the spots that jumps out to me is running back. The Saints made the decision to bring Alvin Kamara back on a 2-year deal. I didn't love the deal, but it has nothing to do with Alvin Kamara. I just didn't like it relative to the Saints salary cap situation, the age of their roster, and the size of the contract at that position. Kamara has been nothing but a pro every step of the way. He did not hold out. He went to practice. He did not sit out games. He went and played. He played hurt while he was in the middle of a contract negotiation, and then got what he wanted. Signed on the dotted line and wants to finish his career as a New Orleans Saint. We'll see if that happens or if it doesn't, but he's here for the next 2 years. And last year, Alvin Kamara took on his heaviest workload ever. And it showed because the Saints were not very good up front blocking for the run. He was getting bludgeoned most weeks. You had young quarterbacks who were anxious to check the ball down and get rid of it, and he took the brunt of all that. And he never complained, and he never sat, and he just went out there and played. And now that contract situation is behind him, it's all about being the best player he can be. And I'm confident that Alvin Kamara will be a good player next year. But I'm also confident that Alvin Kamara can't do this by himself. You need to find the Mark Ingram. You need to find the guy that can take some of that workload between the tackles off of him, maybe help on some third downs, and drop this workload of Alvin Kamara's from an 11 out of 10 down to a 7. He can still be the bell cow back. He hasn't shown that he can't do that. But somebody's got to help. So the question is, who is that? Your first option is clearly Kendre Miller, and we have talked about him ad nauseum, but he's still very much in the conversation. And he's got to stay healthy, and he's got to show what he can do. I don't even have a good sense for what Kendre Miller can do because he rarely practices and he rarely plays. I can see a flash here and there. Big run, good catch, nice YouTube videos from practice. But there's not enough meat on the bone of him in games to make a real generalization about what he can be. So you bring in competition for him, obviously, because you don't know. If you knew, you wouldn't have to bring in competition. You don't know. And so you go draft Devin Neal, who I think that the majority of folks, whether you're a draft analyst, Saints fan, whoever, think that's a really good pick. That's a uber productive power conference back that has shown in his skill set that he can be a between the tackles runner, a threat out of the backfield. He can make plays in space. He can carry a heavy workload. The only thing you don't love about Devin Neal, he's not a massive guy, and he has been used a ton. When you're the all-time leader in the history of a program, which he is for Kansas in terms of career rushing yards, you've taken hits and you've lost a little bit of tread on those tires. But Derrick Henry got a lot of carries in Tuscaloosa, and he's fine. Now, Derrick Henry's kind of a freak, but you get the point. There are plenty of running backs that have taken a lot of workload at the college level and have translated to being really good pro backs. So I think that Neal is going to compete. I think he's got a real chance to make that team and to eat into Kendre Miller's playing time. And the Saints brought in Cam Akers, who folks in this neck of the woods that pay attention to college football are really familiar with. Cam Akers is a guy that LSU recruited very heavily, but he ended up at Florida State, and he had a really good career at Florida State. And he went on to the Rams and has been a very, very productive back for the Rams, Vikings, and the Texans. You're talking about a guy who right now stands at 2,000 rushing yards. He's never been like an 1,000-yard back, but he's been available to catch the ball out of the backfield. He's been available to be a second option out of the backfield. And I think a guy that has been in the league for 5 years, has 26 years old, has a real chance to help you, not as your number one back, but as a guy who spells Alvin Kamara. And that's all I'm talking about here. I need 6 carries, 2 catches every week so that Kamara doesn't have to do everything. And Cam Akers is a pro. He's got good size. He's still got good speed at 26 years old. And I'm not telling you he's going to make the team or that he's my favorite option. My favorite option is probably Kendre Miller, but I don't know if I can trust that. And I like Devin Neal as a draft pick, but I think that bringing in Cam Akers on a cheap deal as a veteran is fine. This is something we talk about with every single prospective player the Saints look to add. You sign 25-year-old Cam Akers to a 4-year contract, what the Saints obviously would never do, but we're just having hypotheticals here. You sign him to a 4-year deal, that's ludicrous. 1 year, few million with the money you've got sitting around? Sure. I'm good with that. If he becomes a guy that makes the team and takes the lion's share of the carries away from Devin Neal and Kendre Miller, well, then you've got an issue with those two guys. I think the point of bringing Cam Akers in and having him on the team and with the squad in training camp is to have an insurance policy if the 2 guys you drafted don't work out. Ideally, Cam Akers is a non-factor on the team. Ideally, one of the other 2 guys who are younger, cheaper, and guys that you brought in the draft are your options. Like, those 2 guys should be. But you need insurance, especially at that position where guys get dinged up and get hurt. So, again, another ad that I'm perfectly fine with, another guy that I think could make the team. It's just one of those deals where I'm hoping it goes another direction. I'm hoping Devin Neal is the guy. I'm hoping Kendre Miller is the guy. And we know that Alvin Kamara is going to be who he is. We'll continue to monitor it throughout minicamp. Right now, they're just going through 7-on-7 stuff, a lot of checkdowns, not any contact. You're not going to draw a ton of information from it. But if you're just looking at the numbers and the potential production from the Saints running backs, somebody's got to step forward. We'll see. If you're looking for our Saints content, find it, Hunt on Saints on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever you find your sound. Just search Hunt on Saints. You can find it there. Ross Jackson doing an awesome job with LouisianaSports.net of running the Saints down during mandatory minicamp, and he's got a couple pieces already up today on the site, so go check all of that out. Hey, it's Hunt. Thanks for watching Hunt on Saints. Before you leave, help us out a little bit. Hit that like button, leave your comments in the section below, and hit that subscribe button so you get all our content right here from Hunt on Saints. We'll see you next time.